Welcome. I just got done watching the end part of Netscape stream, which was more fun to be in the chat and read people's comments there because none of the people on screen were very entertaining at all, in my assessment. But I don't know. People seem. I think people had fun just being there. There were a few things I wanted to clear up though on the stream that people were saying or apparently were saying that they were claiming that it concerns the board known as GG Revolt on 8chan. And hold on one moment, please. Sorry about that. Basically, they were saying that there was a dox on the board, and what they were doing was researching a certain individual going by the name of Allison Prime who was asking for money. So some people got skeptical of that claim, and they decided to look in to make sure she was telling the truth about her house being burnt down. And evidently, they found out that yes, her story turned out and checked out to be legit. And Allison Prime actually thanked them for researching this particular claim because she didn't want people to listen and believe and fall for another Steve Tom Sawyer situation. So I just wanted to clear that up, and that's basically the gist of the story. Now, I know some people have said that was inappropriate to do that, but to me, that is just investigative research and it's basic due diligence, especially when it comes to a matter in which someone's asking for money. And if you want to give to this particular charity, I'm not going to blame you for it. I'm not going to say it's a wise investment either, but I really can't get mad at someone just trying to help someone out in this particular context, even if it's not through a means that I wouldn't necessarily say is the best angle to go with. But you know how it is. All right. With that said, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on any of this or any other topics you want to bring up? Because I know some of you guys had some things to bring up but weren't able to.
Well, talking about that whole Juju Revolt thing, just to slightly go back to it, the whole point of when you post shit online, you're gonna have people looking into you anyway, whether you like it or not. It's just the natural state of things, and trying to stop it or saying that it's bad or a form of doxing, it's just fucking stupid. And the whole point of doxing, it's like when you have someone's house information, it's pretty easy. It's already out there at some point in time, and it's pretty easy to find it. When you go to actually do a proper dox, you get everything. So it's like social security, IP addresses, bill phone numbers, and all that kind of shit. So that whole point is just really fucking retarded. It's just more people acting retarded on purpose just to throw an image board underneath the bus, which I really just don't get anymore. If you don't use the board, just ignore it. There's no reason to, I don't know, just fucking be autistic about it.
Yeah, agreed. I really don't the atmosphere of that stream seemed to be just more.
Well, it was
narrative
a circle
pushing without
jerk,
actual.
if you look at
Yeah.
it. The only person that was in there that probably wasn't really a part of it was probably Sarge. But I know you got issues with him, but to be honest, I really couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think anyone should give a shit about that. As far he did break up that circle jerk just a little bit. Netscape is kind of
he was the only one that really
Vivian.
on there.
Yeah, I'll completely agree with that assessment. I don't think
he held a bit too much back on that stream. He should have just been a bit more of an asshole. Would have been entertaining.
Honestly,
at least.
if he was, honestly, even though I got issues with him, it would have been entertaining at least. I will give you that. He's a clown. That's his job. So, but
he's essentially
yeah,
a
I figured
version of me that's American.
No, he's not quite you because you know what you're doing. He doesn't.
Implying I know what I'm doing half the time. Shiggy diggy.
Well, I'm assuming you know what you're doing. Otherwise, why am I following what you're saying to me?
Maybe you also don't know what you're doing.
That is a possibility.
I think we've entered a new stage of meta right here.
Pretty much. So,
yeah.
I've also noticed.
Do you guys want to discuss the whole? Oh no, wait, you go because you're hosting.
Gotcha. I did notice that there was a bit of an issue between Ralph and Vivian on that stream, where Netscape was like, "Oh, Ralph, come on, let's get on here," and then Ralph was disappointed that he wasn't able to get on in time, and they had to close it down early.
Yeah, I think they did that on purpose.
Honestly, I think you're right. I think that they don't really. I really think that they're like. I think there's certain actors at play who'd rather throw Ralph under the bus than rather just like have him keep going. To be perfectly honest.
Look, I can get their issue with like Ralph because he's kind of a shitty journalist, but I mean, a broken clock is at least right twice a day. That's how I've always viewed him. Like, I don't exactly
Well,
like what he writes because I never found it entertaining at all. But he's got sometimes he's right and sometimes he's wrong, but it's mostly wrong most of the time.
Well, here's my assessment situation when it comes to people criticizing Ralph. Most people who criticize Ralph are doing so because he doesn't play by the rules. He doesn't not infight, right? So what they do is they basically attack him on that vector and just keep on stirring up the pot and just point out how he's wrong for doing this. But all they're doing in exchange is stirring up more infighting and drama, right? So it's a negative feedback loop. Basically, the way they're handling a situation is completely counterintuitive to what their aims are, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, I mean, that's how most of these people thrive. GG
Yeah.
now, they just either create artificial drama or they involve themselves in drama to either.
Swag, are you like in a wind tunnel or something like that?
Yeah, sorry, I have I'm sitting right next to a window because it's like 35 degrees here with a humidity of 42%, so it's really hot downstairs. So I'm sitting in front of a window.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Right.
I'll close the window. So if it's still windy, just tell me.
All right. So Shikaki, what are your thoughts of all this?
Uh, for the whole GG Revolt docs thing.
Any of the topics we've talked about. Either Ralph, Vivian, the GG Revolt thing, etc.
I don't like Ralph's style of reporting, but you can't be in a free speech movement and want to silence him. You could simply not read what he is writing, and that would probably send a much stronger message and not make you look retarded. As for the GG Revolt doxing thing, I couldn't really care less. I think in the stream it was actually just a joke. I could be wrong because I kept going in and out of that stream because somebody else was streaming. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because like the whole thing with Ralph, a lot of people say, well, if you're for journalist ethics and this guy isn't acting ethically, I don't think reporting wrong is inherently unethical if you think that what you're doing is right and you've gone through the hoops to report on it and to fact check, and it just turns out it was a miss. I mean, there have been times where journalists have reported on something that everybody thought would be assured, and it turned out not being assured, or some new information came up and they ended up being wrong. But for the whole GG Revolt doxing thing, I don't think anybody honestly thinks that GG Revolt got her information with malintentions.
I think some people do, but most of those
Well, they're
people you would find are usually
probably retarded.
Well, yeah, and they're also just zealots of like GG now.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
at this point, like Gamergate has pretty much turned into a fucking cult, and it's
they're
absolutely
not
disgusting.
for Allison Prime's right to privacy. They're just against whatever GG Revolt's gonna end up doing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you find a lot with these self-appointed e-celebs right now.
Agreed. Another thing I wanted to discuss, Shikaki, you wrote an article recently that got some controversy. You were telling me
Yeah.
before the stream start.
Yes, about pronouns. It's beautiful. A
So
lot
we
of
talk about
people.
Vivian, how it's a failed post-off transgender woman.
A lot of people think that you have to agree with what your friends say. So I kind of wrote an article about it. Basically, just said, no, I don't care what your pronouns are, and I was describing the plight of trans people, that sometimes they're misgendered, to the plight of first graders, that sometimes first grade boys are called girls, and it's just really idiotic that this is even an issue. That there are people who are so spineless who would actually feel like their entire day is going to be ruined, and they have to stay up every night thinking, oh my god, what if somebody calls me a boy and I'm a girl, or what if somebody calls me a girl and I'm a boy? It's just retarded. That's the word of the day, everyone. Retarded.
No, the word of the day is degenerate.
Well,
Compromise.
is this a poll stream or
The
a
phrase
GG stream?
It's a both streams. We all know that GG started out
Degenerate
in poll
retards.
V. There we go. That's a good one. See, we can compromise.
Yep. Yeah, I actually did like it. The only point I would disagree with is saying that the people who are, trying to actually use the correct pronouns, like, calling trannies he's, I don't think they're equally in the wrong. Like, you could say that they are
what I
a
was
little...
saying was the people who were going out of their way to call trans people the wrong pronoun were
okay.
equally retarded. I don't know. I must have worded that wrong then.
Yeah, okay, I can...
Well, I mean,
that can make sense.
it's kind of like, if you're doing it on purpose just to get a rise out of them, I can see the point. But to be honest, like, if you want to be called a chick and you're not like a absolute fucking asshole about it, I'll call you a chick. I really couldn't give a shit.
I'm just going to test. Is my microphone still working?
Yeah, your
Yes.
microphone's still working.
Alright, this thing's being retarded tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because that was my whole issue with, I'm going to name drop an E-celeb here, when Grumps was like, no, I don't respect Sarah Nyberg enough to call Sarah Nyberg a girl. I was thinking, Sarah Nyberg's a pedophile. In the public eye, that's a hell of a lot
Sarah Nyberg
worse.
is also a fucking snitch.
But in the public eye, being a pedophile is a hell of a lot worse than being transgender. And get your priorities straight. Like, calling a girl a boy is literally a playground insult. It's below your mom jokes. Like, I don't know, as a comedian, I'm deeply offended at this.
I'm getting someone in the chat telling me to check Twitter. I'm trying to check my DMs for this message. Hold on. Like, you can feel free to talk about any other topics. I really didn't prepare for topics something like this. This is kind of impromptu, so feel free to freeball it.
Do you want to talk about the whole saga of a card, the hegemony of Gamergate, pretty much?
If you could describe
have
it to me, because I've mentioned before, I only watch his This Week in Stupid Stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, the gist of it is essentially he did two 40-minute videos complaining about anonymity on the internet, as well as Gamergate Revolt and a few other things that he finds distasteful in GG, as well as name-dropping a few people like Varolo and Ethics Sucks. And it was essentially all about him not getting on a radio show that was talking about GG. And he went on like a bit of a tirade on Twitter, then went on YouTube and complained about it.
Didn't King
And
of Gold
essentially,
do that
this was after.
with Fox?
Yeah, essentially. But
Okay.
Saga made a massive, like a bit bigger than King of Pol could have ever done. But
Well, Sargon had a
anyway.
bigger following.
Yeah, but yeah, as well. But King of Pol didn't like make two videos and was really ass blasted about it in his comment section and on Twitter.
Right.
But yeah, what was I? Anyway, and it all boiled down to I didn't get on this radio show because even though I've said previously I'm not Gamergate anymore, I think Gamergate is dead and we should stop. But I'm still using the tag to get my own needs out of it, and that was essentially the first one saying get me on this radio show and people should get me on the radio show because of these reasons, because I have a 2,000 he's got like this account, like I forgot his exact subscriber count on YouTube, but essentially that was his only claim. I'm popular on YouTube in a very niche market, and that was his whole claim to try and get on this radio show. And he got really mad about not getting on it. And the second video he made was addressing people in the comment sections, but it was also more like I'm only going to selectively talk about things that either like he was really nitpicking from it, and he even mentions a few people that he has issues with and say, oh, I'm not going to read any of you because I don't care about your type of criticism, even though he made the entire video to talk about criticisms he's been receiving. So it's really strange. He's like becoming a really big hypocrite on his own merits, and it's just really mad.
Okay. Well, first of all, uh, I don't think it's Gamergate's fault that he didn't get on a radio show, and I think that not getting on a radio show is a pretty petty complaint to make. I should
Yeah, but
mention,
that was his whole argument. It's Gamergate's fault for not getting me on the radio show.
and I don't think you're being dishonest, but I can only go by what you've told me. So I just don't want somebody to jump on me like, well,
I will tell you this. I've got a pre-skewed view on this whole situation. I may be interpreting him wrong, but if you go onto his YouTube channel, you can watch the 40 minutes videos and then make your own thing of it. But it's going to take a while. It's a really long, painful watch.
yeah, I don't want to devote 40 minutes to that, but I think that he's going through a problem that I notice a couple of people go through whenever they get into the limelight, where they feel like everybody's out to get them because they're only focusing on the people who are their harshest critics. I I can't even really see what Sargon has to complain about because it seems like he has a pretty good life right now. He has a son that he's raising. He has a wife that loves him. He has a popular YouTube channel that he's making money off of. I mean, the guy doesn't even really have to work. But if he does want to spend his time focusing on this very narrow group of people, then more power to him, I guess. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the only problem I've really had with that whole debacle is that he previously said, like, as I mentioned earlier, that he said, oh, yeah, I left Gamergate and we should no longer be advertising the Gamergate. I mean, not advertising, sorry. We should no longer be using the Gamergate hashtag and be using the tag gamer or something. And he mentioned that a few times on the Netscape screen that he did with him. And he comes back into the Gamergate tag and to essentially push his own motives and things, which is really just fucking sleazy, if you ask me.
Agreed. And the reason I agree with that is because he's essentially saying that not only is he coming back in, but he's coming back in to represent the rank and file, so to say. Basically, he is in charge, and he has the clout to represent your interests to the BBC, which is
well, I mean,
very obvious.
He's always been trying to be a leader fag in the entire time he's been in it.
Correct. And that is very concerning. And what's even more concerning, though, isn't his actions.
Really, I mean, he's just pushing it towards into the ground even more. He's doing my job that I want to do himself, so I got to sit back and laugh.
Yeah. But what's really insidious about this is that most people don't call him out. Most people are happy to be led to, by this guy and not think for themselves. And you can really tell when you argue with his fans that they're essentially just clinging onto his word blindly. And they adopt his style of rhetoric, they adopt his style of argumentation, and it's really, really bad. Like, really bad. And
that's something I think that ends up happening whenever you have a new popularized group. This is probably going to get some haters, but right now we're at a turning point where the sheep are moving away from religion and going towards atheism, and those are people that are guided towards other people and not ideas. So for the first time ever, the atheist community used to be the smart community. They used to be the community that would challenge authority, that would advance science, etc., etc. Now it's just an entirely other culture. So I think a lot of these blind followers are just those kinds of people who are attracted to other people and not ideas, that are looking for somebody to speak for them.
I think you have a point there. At least for my personal this is a very subjective.
And believe me, I still think there are retards in religion. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
I
that one
think-
excludes the others.
I think you've got half a point there. I think you got a point that all the people are moving away from Christianity and religions like that, and they're adopting new ideologies. So you can view atheism as one of them, feminism as another, um, cultural libertarians as Sargon's been trying to push, and that type of internet couch slacker activist. Fuck, I forgot the name.
Slacktivist.
Yeah, that's the one, slacktivist. And they're just grouping around these I wouldn't say they're very charismatic, but they're charismatic to a point, and they're just listening to them without actually understanding what they're saying or really using any critical thinking on their part to see if they believe in what they are saying, but only just only going along with it because it's a new popular thing or it's a new counterculture that's been developed, and it's slightly concerning because, like as I don't know, you've probably never seen me on Twitter shit posting all the time, but a lot of Gamergate has become what I view as zealots at this point because they don't really listen to what people are saying at the very top, and they're just going with the flow because it's a new popular thing, and they're trying to brand it as a type of counterculture, yet the type of culture that they're fighting of the liberal progressives is essentially a mirror reflection of what they are. So
I don't know
it's
if you read. I wrote a twit longer, and I
no,
know
I don't
twit
read
longers, but
Twitmongers.
yeah, I was gonna put it on Medium too, but I said that Gamergate isn't about Gamergate anymore. It's just anti-Gamergate, and that if these anti-Gamergate people just stopped talking about Gamergate, it would die in like a week. But
Well, I mean,
Gamergate
it is
isn't.
already dead. If you go on Topsy and you just put in hashtag Gamergate minus RT, you'll see how many people are actually talking about it. There's like 60 odd people that are actually putting out content, and everyone else retweets it. So it's
Right.
essentially dead at this point.
But were you Stopsy?
The one point I want to agree with, though, one point I want to agree with, though, is saying it's dead. I don't think it's unfortunate. Like it, for better or for worse, it's not dead. It just evolved into something else. Like just from a tactician point of view.
We hit a
It
fork
used to
in the
be
road
that-
where
I
Gamergate could
think it's-
either go into Chan culture or Reddit culture, and we chose Reddit culture, and that was a bad choice.
Yeah,
It
so
was.
essentially now the cancer has overcome the body.
And I've said time and time
If you
again,
want to view it as that.
I've said time and time again, Kotaku and Action sticking up for free speech and just letting the Reddit staff delete them would have been one of the best things to happen for Gamergate.
Oh yes, yes, it would have been. And
Well, I mean,
this is
they
another
already
reason
do
why.
that. I mean, the moderator team that KIA has is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I hate KIA
Yeah.
right now. I even have people I think
hate
follow
Reddit
me
in
that
general
are
because it's a massive fucking botnet.
like I think I even have KIA moderators that follow me, and every time I make fun of KIA, they won't even stick up for themselves. Like cucks.
They understand that they have nothing to defend. That's my position on it. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they actually do think that they can defend their actions. Maybe they have a different perspective on it that I don't know about. And if that's the case, maybe I could interview one of them. Possibly.
Well, I asked one of them if the Zoe post just came out today, would it be allowed on Kotaku in Action? And he couldn't say yes.
Yeah.
The thing that
That's the
started it all wouldn't be allowed on the Gamergate board.
Right. But as far as I can tell, like based on what I've seen of what they've been doing, they just don't care. They just want to conform everything to the rules so that way they don't get crushed by the man, so they preserve their community. And the central point of what they were about is just lost. The only good thing I've seen them doing lately is the CISA stuff. I don't even know how to pronounce that. The CISA
CISA.
stuff. CISA. That's a good way to pronounce it. It's essentially, aside from that, they're doing nothing.
I
Like,
wish
it's
they
just
named it
so-
something else because I have a speech impediment, and that is a fucking hard word to say for me. It sounds
Just
like
say CISA.
CISA.
Yeah. CISA, but I have a slur.
There you go. No, it's intelligible. Anyway, one of the things that people don't really realize about anonymity is the level playing field it introduces. it's not purely a level playing field because people have different posting styles and different ability to like
Well,
draw and
no, it
stuff like that.
is.
But
It is a level playing field if you do view it. Like this whole idea of these of what Sargon, as well as his little clique that he hangs around with, this whole concept of the free idea of the marketplace of free ideas or whatever. I
open
think that's
marketplace
it.
fighting.
That's the one. This whole idea that they tout around saying only the good ideas will rise to the very top. When you're posting anonymously on an image board or posting anonymously without having a name or a rank or anything to really identify you from the other person and putting out your own ideas, if people like that idea, they will follow it. That was like the whole concept that really started up GameGate. Like when it came to doing the operations, when it came to doing digging, and when it came to really just spreading out the word. But when you try and take away that type of anonymity and push towards a more a very sterilized type of anonymity that they want with essentially names as well as like leaders, as they've been pushing in the whole cultural libertarian idea with their whole heavyweights and leaders, the whole idea that they've been trying to push of the marketplace of free ideas becomes essentially irrelevant. They've essentially killed it because only their ideas are the correct ideas, because they've already determined a hierarchy. When you post anonymously, there is no hierarchy. It's if you have a good idea, your idea is going to be listened to. If you have a dumb idea, expect to be called a faggot 50 million times.
Yes, that is fairly accurate. The only exception to that would be when people use an image board for so long they begin to recognize each other. That's the only problem with that model. And but aside from that,
Yeah,
it's
but
far better than
you
what we
have to
now.
really. That's like on niche boards. I'm pretty sure if you, because I know you've seen me post quite a few times. Like I'm pretty sure if I posted on V, you would have no idea who the fuck I am, even with IDs on and little flags
You?
on.
No, not you, but other
Me?
people I am
Oh
able
yeah.
to identify. Other people, I don't even think I'd be able to identify you. I'd have to like really examine how you post, and not you, but
I
like
don't post my shit post.
yeah. But other people, I can. I can just say, yep, that's that guy, and I'll know I'm right. And later, they'll confirm it because I'll be like in like I don't know a TeamSpeak or something like that, and they'll just be like saying, oh, I posted this, that, and the other thing on a thread. I'm like, yep, called it, and it's pretty obvious. That's the like, and it does only happen on niche boards, but unfortunately, 8chan is pretty niche, and it's running out of room for growth. And unfortunately, that's another problem with this whole GamerGate thing. It's
Well, I mean,
8chan
I mean, 8chan is probably just going to go back to the way it was before Gamergate appeared on it. It's going to go back to being a very niche place with a really niche market. So it's probably, but
Yeah.
by this time, I'm pretty sure all the old fags and people who are salty at 4chan
I'm not even sure
are
if
just going to stay there.
I'm not even sure if chans in general are going to be around that much longer. Because I know
I think they are.
well,
It would be
isn't
really hard to get rid of
4chan
that type of
isn't
posting.
4chan going into a lot of problems right now? I heard they were doing server problems
4chan,
or something with a new owner.
4chan isn't having server problems. It's more like the new owner is really just is really packaging up to sell to marketers and
Oh, I
PR
see.
companies. So he's essentially removing what 4chan was really about and making it more corporatized. So it's going to be a far worse version of Reddit almost.
It'll
Because I
be
mean, if you
yeah.
go back to 4chan, like especially if you go to 4chan V, it's like fucking Reddit. It reads like it. It's a really sterilizing. It's a really sad and depressing.
It's 4chan plus a whole lot more.
Yeah, it's 4chan plus.
Yeah.
But to swing this back around to the point I was trying to make, what's the alternative to anonymity in Gamergate, right? Like once you get rid of that anonymous factor, once
Haven't
everyone
you
has a
noticed that it's
name,
only the people who are already well established in Gamergate pushing for this? Sargon of Akkad was anonymous a year ago.
yeah, pretty
Well,
much. I mean,
technically,
he was
Sargon of Akkad wants to
pseudonymous.
think he is anonymous, but he's pseudo-anonymous.
Not even. His name's out there. He's
Yeah.
full on
Well, I
putting
mean,
himself
my
on
name and
camera.
address is out there, but it's not like in the same way his is. Like he's
Yeah.
trying to post from. He's trying to say, "Oh well, I'm not anonymous. I have a name behind my name." He's still technically anonymous. If he's not posting as Carl Benjamin, then he's not true anonymous like he wants to believe he is.
And the problem is, we don't live in a culture that supports a non-anonymous internet right now. There are a lot of people who wouldn't be able to speak because they'd be punished for it. They'd get thrown out of schooling. They'd get fired from their jobs. So they have to stay anonymous. And some of these people have some of the best ideas I've heard.
Yeah, and it's sad that people are just not getting that aspect, and they keep on advocating for ego, which is what we have right now. That's the problem that we're seeing. It's not just it's basically across the internet. Like, this is something that Internet Aristocrat, who's just done with Gamergate altogether, pretty much. Like,
He still talks about it.
He talks about it.
Yeah,
every
he
now and
talks
then,
about it, but it's like kind of the same way I talk about it. He looks back on it and says, "What a fucking mistake it was."
He says, "Look at how not in Gamergate I am."
Right, but
Yeah,
he also talks about things that nobody else is talking about, like with the
Paul is talking about that. Where do you think all of his content comes from?
pretty much, yeah. Though I see he's trying to branch out to other factors, but regardless, he's been pointing out the problems with the removal, the rooting out of anonymity across the internet, and you can really hear in his voice that he's really getting tired of how everyone's doing this and nobody's standing up to it. It's like it's more foreboding and less entertaining, if that makes sense.
Well, he's like, you have to understand. Back when he was posting, it was like the real Wild West of the internet. Like, it was wild, and it didn't have all these rules and regulations, as well as all these nefarious marketers. Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't a very clean and sterilized place like it is now. Like, it was very wild, and you could do whatever you want.
It was
So when you come to that
be,
and you watch, yeah,
it was created to be the absolute free exchange of ideas.
essentially. And now, if you like go through that entire point in time up to this point, you get really demoralized, and I think that's what's really happened to him. And a lot of people are complacent about it because they don't understand what they're really giving away. If you take away anonymity on the internet, as well as the ability to speak your mind on the internet, you'll have a far more sterilized place than what we have, and it's just going to be absolutely maddening.
And
Because if you think that SJWs are the worst part, you have no fucking idea. If you want to say, "Oh, I disagree with Obama or Hillary," yeah, let's see how that happens when I'm not going to go to the whole point where there's going to be death squad coming out, but you could essentially have ramifications from saying shit like that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's already happening with people on Facebook and stuff that that have gotten rid of their anonymity, where they would say something like, "Well, I don't really like what Obama said about this." Well, now you have an employer that you're trying to work for, and he's a huge Obama supporter, and you're not getting the job. Like, and that's like best case scenario. Best case scenario is just you don't get a job you want. Worst case scenario is you're blacklisted. The thing about the whole internet is when you're anonymous, you have a much harder time becoming personally invested into something. When your name's actually on there, you become personally invested into it. You'll probably notice a lot of these people that spurge out have their name on their account. They have their name out there. People know what they look like because they have finally become personally invested into something that they weren't really supposed to be invested into. And getting rid of anonymity, like, I can't imagine Sargon having an easy time finding a job if the YouTube thing doesn't work out. And I think that's something he should probably consider.
Not having a hard time finding a job already because of the things he's done in the first place.
And Thunderfoot, thank God, it has job security with his degrees, but a lot of these people...
you also have to understand he's a very smart man. Like, he understands what he's doing in his field, and he's very specialized in it, and he's essentially doing what he loves.
And he's working for people that won't fire him over something that some stupid retard says on the internet.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there are a few people where he's worked previously who really disagree with what he says, but I think they just move past it because they have a
he's
thick
making
skin.
them money.
Yeah.
But
the thing about Thunderfoot is he really can be the great orator that Sargon wants to be. That's the difference between those two. He can really work his way around.
I mean, Sargon could, but he's got his ego in his way, and he's too fucking stupid to actually use his brain anymore.
Pretty much.
Like if you noticed, he has like a massive decline in quality. Like in the past, he used to actually used to use his brain and really think logically about things. But now he essentially is just going with what the group thinks.
Yeah.
I can't speak for that because, like I said, I only watched This Week in Stupid.
Well, I remember back, like I said, the two great things he did were he took on Digra and he took on Alex Lipschitz. Beyond
Yeah,
that,
but it's really funny because that whole, like, all of his information that came from Diagra, guess who fucking shows up on it?
the Anons from V, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and not to mention Thidrin as well.
Oh yeah. Like, how does he end up going in this? Like, he just completely sold out. That's the only way I can explain it. To be honest, like
And
a
it's
quote
also
from
become
him.
very inconvenient for him to have anonymity, to be supporting anonymity.
Yes, yes, it has been. Like, I really don't that aspect. Like, he just needs to stop that. He needs to tone down the ego and basically just like, honestly, I think that if he took a break, it'd probably be better off for everyone. Like,
Well, you see, he's not going to do that. If anything, I'm pretty sure even if he does listen to, he's either gonna get really mad and double down on this, or in the very unlikely event, he's gonna take it with a grain of salt and maybe contemplate what he's actually doing. Because I'm pretty sure he has no idea what kind of grave he is digging for himself.
right. Well, one last topic I want to bring up that's like kind of related to all this. Do you think that perhaps, like, this is something that has kind of come across my mind, my musings and stuff like that, but do you think that it's the use of Twitter itself causes people to just become dumber?
Yes, it's
Well, you have
because
to talk in 140 characters. It gets rid of ideas.
yeah, but Twitter was never really set up for that. Like, you have to understand, when normal human beings, like, let's say my mother or my next door neighbor, when they use Twitter, it's usually to follow, I don't know, musicians or post pictures about cakes and stuff. Like, they're not using it for what we use it for. So it's set up for the average user. But when it comes to when, like, you're a dyed-in-the-wool ideologue, as Sargon used to like to say a lot, or a collectivist shill, you use it for very different reasons. And because you're limited to 140 characters, it really stifles the conversation. So, but there's also another reason what makes Twitter so terrible. Most people that use Twitter actually do care about their followers and the statistics that Twitter has displayed. So if you're a person that is really narcissistic, because this whole fucking generation that I've been born into, they've, especially in America with the whole Common Core and No Child Left Behind policy, they stopped focusing on personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder, and they started more moving towards feels and things that just make them happy without addressing them. So when you have these children that are really fucking narcissistic and think that the whole world belongs to them, and you give them a platform like Twitter, they're going to start to not only become stupider, but they're also going to become they're also going to just care more about the statistics that are usually put out on these websites.
So you think the reason why people So you think the reason why Twitter makes people dumber, or at least in appearance, is because of the internet points that people get because of Twitter?
Yeah, they're essentially looking at it from a fuck, I was studying about this earlier this morning. It's essentially it's like it's like a carrot on a stick, essentially. What Twitter essentially is.
Gotcha. That's what I see from Twitter and also Reddit and even YouTube. Any system that has
Well, I mean,
a
any
story.
site that has data mitigation or statistics to be used as a just to be used in general.
Yeah, if you use your number of followers as an argument, that's a lot like saying, "Hey guys, it's 2015." Like, it doesn't
much.
mean anything.
Yeah. Honestly,
yeah,
my
essentially,
thing-
that's what Sargon and a few of the other self-appointed celebs of Gamergate have been doing quite a bit. I have more followers than you, therefore I am correct.
yes,
And
I
it's
have
no longer
noticed that.
become about, well, I think that you're wrong, here's the reasons why you're wrong, and here's why the reasons I'm correct. It's no
I
longer
think-
become about that anymore.
Yes, I think that you're 100% correct in that regard about how internet points are making people dumber. Because
I
It's-
wouldn't say it's dumber, I think it's more just clouding their judgment for the main part.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you can move past it, you can either get someone like me who tries to at least think logically about it and put biases aside, or you could get someone who has essentially ascended that and just puts out their own points, thinks about it, and tries to see the other person's point of view instead of going for, as Satan has said previously, going for internet dunking points.
Pretty much. And it's like ideally actually this is actually going to be the final topic because I said that was going to be the final topic, but
I have a final topic.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You first then.
Do you guys think that the biggest problem in the world today is the fact that aggressive has become a bad word?
I think it's becoming a problem when you have people publicly saying and supporting the concept of toxic masculinity.
But I'm talking about aggressive in general, where you're not allowed to be aggressive in school or in the public, where video games are trying to be censored, and the proponents of censorship are saying video games make children more aggressive, where boys will be boys no longer applies. Like, I'm seeing the entirety of society now completely turned into an anti-aggressive society, and that doesn't work. You have to be aggressive. It's a survival instinct. It's something that we evolved into. Like, name a successful person that wasn't aggressive.
I don't know. I think it's a bit of a catch-22 thing going on there. Yes, you do have to have some form of aggressiveness to survive in the world, but you can't be overly aggressive, otherwise you'll get nowhere in the world. So it's a really strange mixture that you have to have.
I think there's a difference between like aggression and well, I don't even know if we have a word for it, but the other side of the coin where people
being completely passive and submissive.
Sure, but people are like incredibly rude and stuff. Like, I think there's a difference between being aggressive and being rude, where you can be a go-getter, you can go and set out to do something and then do it without like knocking people over and shit. Sure, but we have in a society where like everybody gets a trophy, where in TV shows the main character solves things with friendship. They don't actually get anything done. And we see other societies that actually promote being aggressive in their media, societies like Japan, and they have a much higher turnout for people who actually end up being successful than places like the US, where hopefully you're born into it because that's all you got.
I think Japan views being extremely disciplined and very hardworking over being aggressive. I think
Is there a difference between being incredibly hardworking and being aggressive?
Yeah, or at least how I view it.
I do actually think that that is a very big problem. I'm not sure if it's the biggest problem, but it is definitely a problem because it is the attitude of like what Mr. Shiitake calls
Shiitake.
I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. It's like
let's just call him Shitaku. It's easier.
Okay.
Shitaku.
I'm
about to get triggered right the fuck off this stream.
Oh
yeah,
no.
I hope you do.
Oh god. Oh no. Anyway, I think you're on point here. I don't know if it's the biggest problem, but it certainly is a problem because it's basically anti-meritocracy. Essentially, don't get rewarded for doing the best, and don't strive or worse. It's not don't be rewarded for doing your best. Don't strive to do your best. Hold yourself back based on some intrinsic values or points, or something, or goodness inside of you.
Doing your best is all that matters, but then they don't actually promote you to do your best.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, you tried.
Yes, and it's also a mentality I've noticed people say, oh, well, these people that have made a lot of money should stop making money at some point and start just giving all their money to the poor. And it's this stupid idea
Bill Gates came out as pro-socialism.
Yes, he did.
Which is hilarious for so many reasons.
Hilarious and unsurprising.
You think he'd be pro-socialist before he made all of his money?
I don't know.
I think it's a PR move, honestly. Like, the guy makes enough to buy, 3 computers every second.
He could probably buy Mexico if he really wanted to. I really think he could buy Mexico.
Though.
Would he want to?
Trump would want to. Trump would make him build a wall.
Hey, you better build that fucking wall. Make a
Bill
better
Gates
one.
would make them build a firewall.
Well, anyway, I might close this out with one thing. Today, Twitter changed its favorites to hearts. Like, this is completely retarded because it's a skin deep type of appearance, and their whole reasoning for it, you can read up on their blog. I'm not going to repeat it, but it's hilarious. Just go ahead and read it yourselves. But rather than waste its time with adding features, what I think Twitter should do is remove features. Like, for one thing, the names, you don't need names and Twitter handles. You can just have your Twitter handle. Like, there's a way I found to remove my name, and if you can do it too, congratulations. I'm
Do you
not gonna
just
say
enter
how
a
I did it.
blank character?
Shh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you revealed one ingredient of how to do it. You didn't reveal the whole thing, so that's cool.
You could probably
Basi-
Google it.
I don't know that. I found it out on my own.
Well,
That's
aren't
why
you
I'm making it.
special?
Yes, exactly.
I'm
But
gonna
don't worry,
put
John.
your
We're
Twitter
giving you a
handle.
gold star.
I'm gonna put your Twitter handle right
Okay.
on the fridge, right there.
Anyway, that's one thing I remove. I'd also remove those stupid bios that Twitter pages have because the bios are just special snowflake syndrome. That's all
I don't
it is.
care what kind of queer
No,
you.
I like reading the bios because I can just view of how terrible this person is probably in real life.
This is true. I guess it can be used as like a spot the moron tactic because whenever
No,
I
it's
read them,
kind
I
of more like
see.
Spot the Juden in Germany in 1942.
Yeah.
This is my thought with bio. Don't put anything on your bio that you wouldn't wear on your forehead with a post-it note.
I agree with that because I
have a
wouldn't wear
post-it
any.
note on my forehead that says I'm a massive fag. That give me money.
You don't
Anyway.
walk around with that?
I would also remove the favorite and like feature entirely, and I'd remove the follower count and following count and the retweet count. Like anything that has a number to it, I make it hidden. Just you can still do it, like that. Those are all good features, but it wouldn't be a number that is displayed.
I think
And
if
it
they
was-
removed it, you'd still be able to find that information anyway.
You could find
I
it,
think if
but
you removed it, you'd be breaking how the site is set up to work entirely.
well, yes, that would be the goal here. It would be a fundamental change of philosophy. Like the whole
It would
like
be
that's
it'd be kind of like digging a hole and then just lying and saying, "Yeah, just fill me up, fuck me up, fam."
I think Twitter
Just put
should
the
only
dirt on the top.
regulate against things that are illegal.
now
Well,
one thing
you
that I
know,
would-
the entire Twitter staff has been shadow banning and shadow deleting accounts and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is,
There-
and Twitter as a whole has been declining in profits for the past 4 years.
That
Yeah,
too.
I wonder why. It could be. I don't want to say it, but it's obviously the CEO that has really feminist and social justice and very progressive leaning ideas, as well as a whole moderation staff behind there. And it seems that they're trying to bring up that whole special moderator committee that they used to have with the feminists. Seems
Well-
like they're trying to bring that back up.
I know some people that are kind of high up in business. I can't say who they are without doxing myself, but they've asked me about social
Oh, don't
justice
worry, I've already
issues.
doxed you. I've got all your information on my computer.
They've asked me about social justice issues, and I told them, you can do it if you want, but it doesn't sell. And they've kind of stayed away from it. It
Other
will not,
features-
It sells to a very niche market that will eat itself eventually.
and it gets rid of a market that's bigger. Like,
Yeah, but also back to your point about hiding numbers and stuff, people can just find that information out anyway. Well, yes, there'll be those tech heads who can.
that was my point.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Regardless,
I'm offended that you confused me with this degenerate.
offended
You're
by that.
literally gay.
I'm still better than you are.
You're still
I'm
a
the ultimate
degenerate.
misogynist.
You're still a degenerate.
Look, I have a solution. Since he's gay, if you kiss him, you'll be gay as well.
It's only when the balls touch.
That's
but
not
don't
a
worry, I'll be
solution.
seeing him later tonight.
Ah,
That's not a solution, because the problem isn't that I would like to be gay.
all right. Anyway, to the point I was trying to make.
John wants me to be gay because I'm the center of his universe.
Oh, god damn it. Anyway, to the point I was making, with the numbers thing, if you hide them, the rank and file people who would actually care about that stuff, they won't be able to find it because most people are morons and don't do basic research in anything, period. So it would basically minimize the problem as much as possible. And another feature where I would remove is the block feature because you already have the mute feature. The block feature is superfluous and inferior to the mute feature.
You should be
Great.
able to mute people who are following you and people you have followed, though.
You can do that.
I don't know. I
I've
think you
muted
should
people that
have
I'm
the
following.
block
No
feature as
problem.
well, because if you have like some sort of stalker that's legitimately stalking you, I would want them to be blocked. But then again, there's always the easy operation of just logging out and then just following that account.
Or better yet, making a new account and befriending you secretly. If you're really into a stalker, is not going to be stopped by a block feature.
And I think something that's really stupid is if you get a bunch of followers that are that are bots at the same time, they'll take down your account like momentarily. That's stupid.
Now, one feature I would add though, I'd actually add a couple. No, I keep the character limit, but what I do is for when you're putting handles, they would not be counted towards the character limit. So, for instance, if you want to do like a Fall Friday with 100 people, you could do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I
that would
like
be
the
cool, but I can see so much exploit in it. Because, I mean, you have to understand, Twitter doesn't handle very large loads, it handles very small loads rapidly.
True.
That's what.
Very true.
Never mind.
Yeah, maybe there'd be like a number.
I would rather have them integrate the TwitLonger like into its own coding.
Yeah, that would actually work. That would actually work wonders. I think that would be a better solution there.
They'll just
And
solve all the
I
issues
think,
like a lot of people have.
I think if there's a conversation or a thread going on, and it's been 10 posts deep and you haven't posted in it, maybe it can stop popping up in your notifications. Or you should just be able to untag yourself from other people's posts.
Maybe something like that could work.
Just because I'm so annoyed of randomly responding to somebody and then waking up with 97 notifications. And
I love when I wake up with 97 notifications. It means I know I've pissed off a very large group of people.
But that's the thing. I haven't pissed off anyone. They just forgot to untag me.
Yeah.
Or
I've
get
got
bullied.
99. Yeah. I've got 99 notifications every day, so it doesn't really matter to me.
And a bitch ain't one.
Yeah. That's right.
Because
9
GF won't,
notifications
that's for
and
sure.
a bitch ain't one.
Yeah. Wait, that doesn't work in my favor. Oh no. Anyway, I'm
glad that we took an hour talking about Sargon.
God damn it. Anyway, the other feature I'd add
I think
is
it's always fun to shitpost on the internet. I don't know what's wrong with you people if you don't think shitposting on the internet isn't fun.
I could say my problem with them choosing a heart, and it's not the one everybody else has mentioned. I've been intrinsically conditioned to think that red is more important than green. So whenever I see the red notification, I don't know, I just feel like it meant reblog. And I know that's a stupid thing, and I'll probably adapt to it in 1 or 2 days, but I think reblogs are more important than favorites, or retweets, whatever, are more important than favorites, and I think that red is more important than green. Maybe I'll just email Twitter's PR and say I'm red-green colorblind and I find it offensive. They'll probably take it down.
Yeah. See if you can get them
See, I
take on a
don't
whole.
understand why you people care about statistics anymore. But maybe it's because I used to care a lot about statistics and I realized it was really fucking dumb.
I wasn't
Like, it
talking
didn't
about
mean
statistics.
The final feature.
Well,
I'd
no,
add-
you are, because you're talking about likes and favorites and which is more important, whether it be a like or a reblog.
Final
Well,
feature I'd add to Twitter.
I just meant that for me, for some reason or another, when I see the color red, I'm thinking it's a retweet and not a favorite. Even though retweets were always green. I don't know why. I guess I've just
Maybe
been
you just have
taught...
retardation.
Well, I know I have that, but I guess I've just been taught that red comes before green because of traffic lights or something. I don't know.
This conversation is severely autistic. Anyway, final feature.
Well,
I'd
I
add-
mean,
We just talked about
always been like
Sargon
that.
for an hour.
Yeah.
we
Well, it
It's
hasn't
not
been an hour
just
yet.
now
Like
getting
half an
autistic.
hour. For a solid half hour, we did.
It's not just now getting autistic.
Fair enough. But anyway, the final feature I added to Twitter is anonymity. Basically, you could decide not to tag yourself in a post. Oh, and also I'd add the feature of not having an avatar if you choose not to have one. Because why?
Can't you just make it a blank picture?
Well,
you
I mean, John, you know how to fix all these problems. It's really easy. You
Make
don't.
your own.
You delete Twitter and you go on 8chan or a Chan site.
Don't
this
go
is
on.
also true.
Don't go on a Chan site. People like
Why not?
Ozfag are on there.
Yeah. There's also shit inside your body right now. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, one thing
Probably
I've
shit.
considered. Yeah, one thing I've considered doing is basically just abandoning my Twitter account, not telling anyone, and seeing if you can find me, because it'd be fun that way. Who knows?
Trust
Maybe
me,
I'll
no
just
one
do
would
it tomorrow.
care.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
Oh no! There'd be a Sargon video on it.
He did name drop me in a video way back in the day.
Did
Like,
he name drop me?
He should.
No. I know he name dropped Ethics Sucks and
Because
Varrow.
well,
quite a
I'm
bit.
not anti-Sargon though, but
Well, even
but
if you're not anti-Sargon, like if you're just a passerby and comment on something like saying, "Yeah, you're really fucking dumb and this is stupid," he's like gonna go and on a tirade about you for a bit, and then his followers are gonna attack you.
somebody just told
Yep.
me that Sargon name dropped me on a stream and said that Sargon wouldn't have me on any of his streams because it lowered the quality, and I thought it was a joke. I just wanted to make sure. Like, I don't care about going on his streams or not. I would just do it on my YouTube channel.
Knowing him currently.
Well, here's a fact. There's absolutely no proof saying that he did not do that. Absolutely none. In fact, I hear that you can never find proof of that.
True.
So I think that, one can conclude.
I feel like
that
people keep thinking that I'm
might
going
be-
to respond to something. I like it when things get awkwardly silent.
Well, I'm also like writing down my notes for my test next week.
Next.
All right, I think that I think we've covered up enough topics, and I wasn't planning on
Yeah,
having
we
this stream go
definitely
very
talked
long.
about Sargon enough.
Boy.
I mean, we can start
Anyway,
talking
any
about
final thoughts?
Caesar. Unless you
Final
really want to.
thoughts.
Yeah, let's get. We do have. We can't. Let's make this go for an hour, so we have about 5 minutes to talk about CISA. Why is CISA bad, Osfag?
Caesar is objectively bad because it really overrides the American Constitution, as well as really limiting free speech, as well as anonymity on the internet, as well as putting in arbitrary rules about not cyber terrorism, but just general using the internet and transfer of data and information over the internet.
I agree with CISA and think it should be allowed.
Fucking Fed, get rid of him.
I don't have any points, but I figure a debate's a lot better when both sides are represented.
Well, I mean, if you're going to debate that point, you may as well see the hill that you're dying on.
Yeah.
Right.
How big is it?
I recommend-
It looks pretty small.
I recommend.
Say,
There's a lot of
really
information
shithill.
being spread around CISA. I recommend checking out the hashtag CISA on Twitter, and go
Or
search-
hashtag Bane.
Hashtag Bane actually has stuff on CISA.
Well, it has stuff on CIA.
Conspiracy. All right. On that
Get
note,
this hothead out of here. But if you really want to learn more about Caesar in its full depth, go to Netscape's channel and just look up the one that has hashtag Caesar in it, because
Or-
they go through the entire document and
This would be
explain how this is bad,
This
far
would be
more better
fun.
than I could ever explain.
It is
Email your
very
congressman.
technical, but it is also very thorough.
Email your
Greg
congressman.
and
It's
Eric
technical,
did
but
a
it
very
also
good
explains
job.
it in layman's terms.
Yes.
Email your
and
congressman and have your
If you
congressman.
want to do something about it without really reading up about Caesar and just want to be a blind zealot, you should really, especially if you're an American, you should write to your local congressman or woman
I
and
can
tell
confirm
them
that I was a
Caesar
blind
is bad.
zealot.
Agreed.
I can confirm that I was a blind zealot.
You were?
There's no reason for people to be lying to me about CISA. I'll just take it on face value.
All right. On that note, I'm going to kill the stream. Have a
No,
good night,
you're not.
everybody. And
Nobody believes you.
I can neither
See,
confirm
look.
nor deny if nobody
Look,
believes me.
look, it's still going.
All right. Have a good night. Laters.